Okay, welcome. This is Ezra live, and I'll put a little link right here. So in case anyone wants to hop on, you can. Let's copy the clipboard. Okay. My apologies. So send that out there. I'll put this on Twitter as well, just in case. You never know. Let's see here. All right. So we got a big fight weekend. We got a big fight weekend. I don't care about the belts. I mean, I can't say that enough. I don't care about any belts. No belts matter to me, unless we have one, we have none. But technically, I guess we will have one at the end of this, right? But then when whoever wins is going to drop them, we'll have four all over again, and then we'll have a bunch of like juniors and uh seniors and just a bunch of nonsense belts. So I don't care about the belts, but I think that from the first fight, I think we can say that the winner of this fight, because I know Jamel has that claim already. Jamel right now is the best 154. He's earned that. Castano, the first fight, proved that he's at the level of Jamel, right? That they're similar levels. So the winner of this fight will be the best 154 in my eyes. That's all that matters to me. The belts, I don't give a damn about no belts. I don't care about any belts. That doesn't, it means nothing to me, right? Because they're not all created equal, right? Jamel winning, Castano beating Jamel for undisputed is way harder, right? Way more challenging, right? To me, in my eyes, a way bigger win than Haney beating Cambosos. It just is. Okay, it just is. If we can, they're not the same. It's not just like, oh, he's undisputed, then he's equal to this undisputed. Not all undisputeds are created equal. So beyond the bout part, undisputed, I know that's a big thing for everybody else. That's a good talking point for everyone else, but I don't care about that. I just think this is a great fight. I think it's a great matchup. I think that Jamel has to me, the most ability to adjust and make adjustments in this fight. I think Castano's kind of going to fight the exact same fight. I don't think that there's a lot of adjustments can be made. There's slight little things that I thought I saw that he could do. Maybe there's some other stuff that, of course, that his camp sees that he could do. But I don't think it's major. I don't think there's a complete overhaul of game plan. I think for Jamel, it could be kind of an overhaul of the game plan, what they did in the first fight. It could look like a complete different fight for him. When that usually you could do that, I tend to favor you in rematches. I tend to favor people in the rematches when they can do things like that, when they can make complete adjustments. Now, if it looks similar to the first fight, I'll favor Castano in it, right? If it looks similar to the first fight, I think that he'll always have shaky moments where he could get dropped in the fight, where he could get stopped in the fight from a guy like Jamel Charlo. But if it looks the exact same, right, I think Castano kind of will be able to know where Jamel's able to attack and where he's not able to attack. And if it's the same pace, he's going to feel a lot more comfortable in the fight. What's up, Alda Boxing? What is good? Appreciate you listening, man. If you want to hop on, just so there's a link up there, you can hop on. But yeah, I think that that would favor Castano if it's a similar fight, similar thing what it was. I can't see Charlo and them seeing this and not seeing all the things that Charlo's kind of capable of. Let me put this right here, just so all the things that Charlo's kind of capable of, and just saying like, no, we're gonna keep it the exact same, right? We're gonna keep this the exact same, and we're gonna go with the exact same game plan. Because to me, it's like no, like to me, I felt like kind of like Charlo didn't have a game plan in that fight. I just kind of felt like he was just reacting to where he was at. I didn't feel like he was doing anything or implementing anything or taking advantage of what he had. I just kind of felt like, oh, I can attack here, or I'll take my chances here. And I don't think that they could come in thinking that. So I don't think they will. I'm going to favor Charlo in this fight. I'll favor him to win a decision in this fight. A lot of people said that, Castano was robbed in the first fight. I hope that's, to me, I don't think that's a fair characterization of the first fight. That was a very close fight that anyone could have won. A draw, I was okay with. Let's see. Will fighting on the outside affect the fighters? It tends to get pretty. Okay, I get you. Pretty chilly at night. It may take a few rounds to warm up. It's funny. I've actually fought at the place they're fighting at, right? And I fought actually like on a cooler day. Yeah, it could. You warm up pretty good in the back, right? You warm up pretty good in the back. I don't expect like Canelo like entrances, right? Or like Katie Taylor Serrano where like they took forever to get in the ring. I don't expect that in this fight. That's the only thing like maybe cool you off. But no, like I think once you get going, you get going. You warm up pretty quick. I don't expect that to be a problem, especially I don't even know what the weather is calling out for, but I don't. It's been pretty hot. I live in Southern California where they're having the fight, so it's been pretty hot, pretty warm here. So I don't expect that to take too much of an impact in there. No, I don't expect that to be too much of an impact, but I do think that I do think it's interesting that they had this in Southern California. I don't know why this fight was like they were like Southern California for this fight. I'm guessing Castano didn't want to fight in Texas. That's what I'm hearing. They didn't want to fight Texas, but I thought there was other places you could have this fight, especially the arena they chose is kind of interesting. I don't think this fight sells well there. I honestly I don't know. I thought that maybe if you do this fight over here, like do it in the Staples Center Crypto Arena, because to me it's more of an event and like people that want to go to like more dress up, and this is the arena they're at. It's not like kind of place you dress up at. Like it's just kind of it's way more casual. So I didn't ever really see the I didn't really ever see like the point of having it there. I don't. But maybe they just figure it has the rep of like having a lot of wars there, so that's where they're gonna put it at. Possibly that's what they see going on for this, but I kind of don't get the placing of it. And from what I'm seeing, the like ticket sales haven't been great. Not that I give a damn about that as long as I can see the fight, but I'm just I was just curious about that. And that's kind of the way the ticket sales have kind of panned out for it. It kind of seems like, yeah, it was a little bit of a miscalculation on that one. But it's a great fight. And you have Boots Ennis on the undercard, and Boots, everyone wants to crown him the best guy at 154. I mean, I'm sorry, 147. I just had this talk about Benavides. I mean, they got to earn it, but I get it. I get it with Boots. He's showing all these things, and he just looks levels above everyone he's fighting. No, sorry, that's Canelo. Second, there goes Boots right there, and he looks levels above everyone he's fighting. So I get it. He's passed all the tests of flying colors. I want to see just I'm curious when he gets challenged right over guys like Durable to his power, and he's someone like Clayton who could possibly stay durable enough to like go rounds in this fight. I do want to see how he can adjust. Like, can he fight a complete? Can he do a complete boxing performance right where he doesn't get touched? Can he do a fight where he just disciplined the whole time because he has holes in? I mean, he gets hit because he believes in his offense so much. He's kind of similar to Terrence Crawford in that they just truly believe in their offense so much that they're willing to take a lot of chances because they feel like they'll beat you to your spot, right? If you're gonna go like 50-50 with him, I think they just feel like they're always gonna beat you on that. So I would like to see if Clayton could hold up to the power of the shots because he'll be there to be hit, but he looks pretty durable. So let's see if he can hold up to the shots, and let's see if Ennis has to make any adjustments in this fight. I'm not sure he has to. I think that kind of Clayton stays in the same range, stays at the same level. And he Clayton's kind of like busy to me. He's like a real busy fighter, so he'll give Ennis a lot of opportunities to counter. There'll be a lot of openings there for him, a lot of opportunities for them. It's to me, it's a good matchup for Ennis to look good either way. I'm just curious if it goes rounds and Clayton's able to kind of stay durable to it. It's going to be interesting how they bring up Ennis. I don't think he's going to get Spence or Crawford. I'm 100% confident he's not going to get any of those guys in this weight class that he's in. Maybe if he goes 154, he can catch them there, but he's not going to get them here, and he's not going to get to meet Keith Thurman. So I'm curious, where do you go with him, right? Where do you is Ugas? Does that fight make sense at some point, or Stanionis? Is something like that make sense for him? A lot of people assume that he's going to take the top 147 spot when we have Spence and Crawford leave to 154. And yeah, I would say that to me, if I had to put my bet on one of these guys, I put it on Boots too. It's Virgil Ortiz is there too, but he looks like he's struggling to make the weight, and he's kind of like in a weird point of his career. He kind of lost some momentum of where he was going. And Boots could just take it all. If he looks super impressive in this fight, then I think people are going to be like, they're going to be clamoring to see him fight the top guys. I think this is the one fight before he fights like a top dog. I think Ugas makes a lot of sense. I think Ugas, it would take the fight too because he wants to get back in the championship picture. He wants to get back at the 147, at the top. He wants to be in the conversation, and Boots would be a way to get him back there. If he could be Boots, You know what I mean? With all the hype on him, it put him right, Ugas right there back at the top at 147. So I think that that might be an interesting matchup and be a good measuring stick too for how Spence fought Ugas and how Porter fought Ugas for what Boots could do to him. That's where it kind of like he creates storylines and show the level of Boots where he's at. If he could run through Ugas better than Spence did, then you're really the hype train is gonna, which is already really going full speed. It would just go off. It's light speed. Light speed. It would be huge. And he's gonna go to 154. He is. He's got a lot of size to him. He's not gonna stay at 147 long. So all these guys are moving on 154. He might be chasing them there. He might be following everybody up there to 154. With if Jermell stays, if he wins, Castano stays, and Spence goes up, and you have to assume the Crawford's going to go up, and then Boots goes up, right? He wins the title 147, and then goes up to 154. Like then everybody just right there, right? Like they're not going to it's going to be really hard once Boots gets like 2 more wins for Spence and these guys to say like I'm not going to fight him. It really would. It'd be really tough to say that you're not going to fight him. Gilberto Ramirez fights this weekend as well. Gilberto Ramirez he's in an interesting spot now with Bivol winning, right? With Bivol beating Canelo, he's in an interesting spot because Bivol needs opponents. Now they could go the England route, right, or Europe route with him, with like Smith, right, or Butasi, but I think that Gilberto Ramirez, marketing wise and ticket selling and making the sense because Bivol just beat Canelo's from Mexico. I think Ramirez makes a lot of sense, but he has to have a performance that really catches the imagination of the fans. And I don't think I've seen that yet. I just haven't seen consistency from him yet, where he has like one consistent performance where he looks at the level of all these guys at 175 pounds. I haven't seen it yet. I never saw it at 168. That's like the one thing I've never seen him have that consistent performance where I'm like, yes, he's ready now for any of the top guys. I think that the guy he's fighting this weekend should set him up for that. The guy's really stiff. He's not a lot of, he's not dynamic. His boxing game isn't dynamic at all. He should be able to put it on him. He should be able to use all his abilities and really style on him. We got to see. But if Canelo takes a fight, right, he takes Triple G before he goes back to Bivol, why not Bivol Gilberto Ramirez? Why not make that fight? And honestly, if it doesn't really affect like Canelo in any way, because if Gilberto Ramirez would be able to beat Bivol, him and Gilberto and Canelo is like a big fight too, and you can do that in Mexico. I just think Gilberto's in a good spot right here. He has to look good. Like there's a reason this fight is right. It's like, to me, perfect timing that it's right after Canelo lost to Bivol. He could really make a statement here. He could really put himself in a good spot to fight Bivol. And if the tickets sell good and there looks like there's there's some attention to the fight, some buzz to the fight, some buzz to the event, I don't see why that fight doesn't happen. And they're both on the zone, you know what I mean? Like it's all the things are there for this fight to happen. I really believe that Canelo's going to take Triple G next. I do think that he will take this rematch of Bivol, but I do think that there's going to be a fight in between. I don't know why Bivol wouldn't take a Gilberto Ramirez fight. So we got to see. I just haven't seen a performance that really, grabbed my attention from Gilberto Ramirez. I haven't. There was I did get it kind of like heated debate of a tweet, right, that I said about Jose Benavidez, right? Because now, Canelo losing, there's like there's, of course, I said there's going to be like a knocking of his legacy and all that. And I'm being accused of being, a big Canelo fan and all these things. And, I think the thing is that what I try to do is like, if I feel like it's so outrageous in one direction, I try to bring it back. And this works both ways. And when you do that, you're either too big of a fan of someone or you're a hater when you do this, right? Because you have to bring it back when things are getting outrageous. Now, everyone now, the Canelo's run at 168, it's not the best, right? It's not the greatest run or anything like that. I'm not confused by that. I never stated that it was. I never would. But there's this thing now, right? The story, there's this narrative going around that Jose Benavidez was the clear number one when Canelo was going on this run at 168. And it's not true because Jose Benavidez never did anything to put himself in that position to be the clear number one at 168. He just never has. So if we're gonna say, oh, he avoided Jose Benavidez, right? Because he was the clear number one. Well, first of all, he didn't even have a belt, and Canelo was clearly going for undisputed, right? But he didn't even have a belt. But he had never really truly beat anyone to say, make the claim that he was above Smith, right? Or above Plant. He never had done that. And in the tweet, I think this where got the most controversy, was I said that Billy Joe Saunders was more proven in his career than Benavidez. And that's true. Now, not at 168. And that was the point that everybody was pointing out. This is not at 168. I know. I didn't say at 168. I said in his career, Billy Joe Saunders is more proven. That doesn't mean that I had Billy Joe Saunders beating Benavidez. That doesn't mean I think he's a better fighter. I mean, he's more proven. I mean, I don't like the hypothetical of what this guy can be, or what we think he could be, or who he could beat because we think he can, or because of what we could see in the eye test. I don't buy any of that. Now, I pick guys because of that, right? But that doesn't mean they got to prove it. Now, everyone was picking Canelo to be Usyk, right? There was a few that didn't. I acknowledge them, right? There was a few that didn't. People that, and I think everyone that kind of knew who Bivol was knew it would be a tough fight. But there was people picking Canelo by stoppage. That was the eye test. So we can't say that's foolproof. So we can't say that Jose Benavidez is just better than everyone because of the eye test. No, he's got to prove it. He's got to go earn it. And the thing is, it's not even an Andrade situation or Charles situation where they're like just not on the same side, or the guys in his weight don't want to fight him. Like, he has Caleb Plant. That fight's been there. They've had this beef. There's a storyline there. Now his manager is saying they won't fight Andrade unless they get paid $10 million, right? Get double what they get paid for Canelo. What the hell does that mean? Why the hell would you get paid double for what you're going to fight Canelo for to fight Andrade? You know that's not possible, right? So it's a stupid thing to say because really you just don't want the fight. And the thing is, if Canelo had said that, which, Canelo did kind of say he wasn't going to fight Andrade, but if he had said that, my God, we would hear the end of it. But Benavidez says it, and it's just like everyone's kind of trying to make sense of it, right? Like, oh, well, that makes sense. He's overpaid at his own. And it's like, why, when Benavidez does it, it's okay. When Canelo does it, it's not okay. No, it's not okay for both of them. Then I call it like that. Then if we got to meet in the middle, I'll meet you in the middle. It's not okay for both of them to say that. But at least Canelo is fighting top guys, though, right? Because the guys he fought at 168, no. Was there a clear standout? No. Would Benavidez possibly beat all the guys that Canelo beat? Possibly, but he's got to do it. I can't just give it to you. And to say he's the best guy, he wasn't at the point when Canelo made the run. Now he hasn't really done anything. If you're trying to give him the credit for beating Kyron Davis or Alice, and then I guess he could do that. To me, it's a bit of a reach because none of those guys are proven this kind of to me are like B-level fighters. But if we want to say that those wins are equal to the Smith's best wins, it's not true. It's not true. So, or Plant's best win, who's it's not aging the best, but Uzagahi, right? That's not Gotzi or Gathe. It's that fight's not aging the best, right? That's not aging the best. I'll give you that. But at the point when he won it, that was a tough fight. That was considered like a 50-50 matchup. And he's fighting I said Billy Joe Saunders, who beat Andy Lee or Lemieux or Eubanks. And people are trying to knock those wins, but I mean those guys are more proven than anyone that Benavidez has fought. And actually Benavidez is fighting Lemieux next, and watch that be a credible win when he beats him. So that's the position. I'm not saying that Billy Joe Saunders would have beat Benavidez. No, I'm not saying that. I would pick Benavidez in that fight if they matched up tomorrow. I picked Benavidez in that fight. But I'm just saying that, I mean, can he prove it? Do we have to crown him just because he looks the part? That's the thing. I'm not trying to crown anyone until they look the part. Even with Boots, I'm trying to make it. You got to earn it, right? If he's going to go fight Clayton, I want him to fight Ugas next. I want him to earn it. I want him to prove me right that he's going to be that. But he's got to prove it. We can't just crown them just to crown them. Okay, that doesn't work that way. The eye test does not work, and I don't think that's an outrageous statement to make. I don't think Benavidez was, as far as notable wins, is head and shoulder above everyone. No, I don't think that's the case. Now, is he have more ability than these guys? That's an argument you can make, right? That's an argument that I would hear, right? But you're not going to tell me that he's the clear number one when Canelo was fighting all these guys. He wasn't. That's not the case. And he's not equal to Canelo. And whether you like Canelo's run at 168, those wins are still better than anyone there, right? Those the Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and Smith are better wins. Those 3 wins, right? If Benavidez had those wins, people would be hyping it up. Okay, if Benavidez had run through those guys, they would all name them as notable wins. But when Canelo does it, because he's graded on a different scale than everyone else, no, they're bums. It's Euro trash, and it's not. Those don't count. When those are, to me, we're talented fighters, and were they the most proven? No, but no one at that weight was proven. I mean, if we look at Terrence Crawford's resume, right, especially at 140, I mean, none of those guys are proven. I mean, like what Postal, but Postal doesn't really have any huge wins when he stopped Matisse, right? But that's about it. There's he mostly lost all the good guys he faced, right? And Dongo, I mean, he did nothing, right? He got good right place, right time, and then did nothing after that. Like wins can age poorly, and that win aged poorly. But we don't call it like that. I don't feel like it. So I gotta call it like it's fair. So whether you think, oh, this guy's 100% backing of Canelo and all those things, I don't think that's the case. I know for a fact that's not the case. I just gotta call it when we're too outrageous in one direction. I really feel like we're way too outrageous in one direction. And that's what I'm gonna really back, or I'm gonna push a guy forward. I'm like, there's too much hate in this direction. It doesn't make sense. So we're speaking of Canelo and Bivol, and I was noticing Bivol's performance. And really, I was gonna do a whole thing on like what Canelo could do to beat Bivol, right? If like what would be his best opportunity to beat Bivol? What strategy should he use to go in there? And I saw the fight again, and I don't really think there's anything he could do. Like I'm gonna be 100% honest, I don't think he could beat Bivol. I just think that Bivol has a lot of skill. He's a great fighter, and he has the size. It's just too many things in his favor for Canelo to really ever be able to level the playing field. His power has no effect in the fight, and I think Canelo is dependent on his power. I mean, we got to be honest with it. Now, I think he showed all his tools that he's usually shown. He's shown at 168, especially. No, I didn't think so, but that could be because the size was too much, and he can't sit in there and take chances of moving his head and countering with a guy like Bivol, right? So I think that when the Bivol lands, Canelo's kind of has to step back and give up the ground and then reset up to do it. I do think that if there was a strategy for Canelo to use, he would have to outwork him. He would just have to be able to outwork him because he was able to kind of get in some of the spots he wanted to be, but like his shots, there was horrible placement for him. First of all, there was no precision on any of his shots. He was all power. He wasn't changing anything up. It was just like how I'll explain with Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is 100% on everything. He's throwing 100 miles per hour on every shot he throws. Right? He's 100 miles per hour. He's a pitcher that throws 100 miles per hour. He doesn't have a changeup. He doesn't have a curve. Doesn't have a splitter. He just throwing gas the whole time. Canelo was doing that fight against Bivol. He was just throwing heat the whole time, hoping that one of those shots changed the momentum of the fight. And they didn't. They didn't have any impact. And Bivol was just getting easy. It was just easy for Bivol to just kind of read them where they were coming from. He didn't never really adjust his guard or moved his guard or did anything with his guard that, like he never had to make adjustments in the fight. He didn't. He just kind of fought the same fight they usually fights. And it's funny because the performances that Bivol had the two previous, they were criticized. Like, I mean, people were starting to be very critical of him because the performances weren't anything to, really grab your attention or they weren't the most entertaining fights. And it was just kind of seemed like he was coasting. I'm going to be honest with you. This was the same performance that he was having in all those other fights. It's the same performance. He was just doing it against a better guy, a more well-known guy. And the comparison I would say is like, it's not fun to watch someone walk a tightrope just 2 feet off the ground. But when he's walking a tightrope, above a skyscraper, 2 skyscrapers, it becomes a lot more entertaining, right? A lot more people pay attention. That's kind of what happened here. Bivol fought the same fight. He never got out of his game. It was the same thing. He was still patient. He wasn't forcing shots. He wasn't looking to be more entertaining. He didn't even ever go for the kill when I thought he could have went for a knockout like in the 11th and 12th round. He never really went for it. It was the same performance he's had the whole time. The reason why it was more memorable is because it's more memorable opponent. And I go back to Shakur Stevenson, who was highly criticized, right, for all his performances. And, Valdez, no one picked Valdez to win that fight, so it never really felt like a 50-50 fight. Kind of felt like a fight Shakur was supposed to win. So we were critical of it. Even though it was complete domination, we're highly critical of the performance because we don't feel, right, not me, but I'm saying people don't feel that it was entertaining to watch, right? Because they never felt like he was at risk, right? Because he was walking a tightrope 2 feet above the ground. I don't I thought that was an excellent performance by, Shakur, right? And I don't think anyone's really done anything to Shakur to really make me question how good he is, because everything he does, he's been dominant on. Now, is he the most entertaining style? I mean, depending on what you're looking for, but no, he's not, he's not blowing guys out. He's not going for the stoppage. No, but he's just schooling you, right? He's a Rubik's Cube, right? Like no one has solved them yet. No one has even come close to solving. Like the Rubik's Cube came out in the 80s. No one had solved it. That was the so huge thing about the Rubik's Cube. It was like no one has solved it. Everybody was trying to be the first one to do it. That's what Shakur is. He's a Rubik's Cube. No one is solving him yet. No one is coming close to solving him yet. I, I'm going to say these performances are great because they're so one sided. Now, until someone's, until he has a bad performance where someone's close to him and he's going through his defense and he's hitting him, then I could start seeing the holes in it. But I'm not going to make up holes that aren't there. I haven't seen him yet. He looks damn good. He has, he does the back step over and over again. But damn, he's everything. He sees the whole ring. He's very comfortable in there. He's picking his shots. He's placing them perfectly. His guard is very good. He's not the most flashiest defense. But it's effective. Like Winky Wright's defense wasn't flashy, right? It was just a really good guard, but it was super effective. But I wasn't just saying about Winky Wright, like, oh, he better start going for KOs or he better start showing me something. It's like, no, when he was at his best, he wasn't going for no KOs. No, he wasn't going that. He was just schooling you. That's what Shakur's doing. And that's what Bivol did, but he just did it against a high level opponent. So we give him more credit for it. That's fair. But don't say that Bivol was doing something that he hadn't been doing in the past two fights. No, that was the performance that Bivol did in the last two fights. We just didn't care about those opponents. Those opponents didn't bring any, attention to us. We weren't expecting him to lose those fights. So, so I don't want to, I think that, like I said, sometimes we're critical on some guys and critical on, not on other guys. It's like some people get past, some people don't. It just really depends on, how people are feeling that day when they see them. Right? It really is. And we kind of have to call attention to it. I was thinking about we have elite fighters, right? A guy like Canelo, right? Canelo's like highly critical. You either really love Canelo or you either hate him. It kind of feels like that. There's like really no in between for him. I'll be there in between. I really feel like I am. But like Canelo gets criticized so much, right? And he's one of the best fighters in the world. But now he's criticized so much that fighters that are below him and clearly below him are almost equal to him because we hype those guys up so much and criticize Canelo so much that it almost equals it out where it kind of feels like they're on the same playing field. It's very strange. Like Canelo lost and people were saying well, he's not very skilled. And it's like, since when? I mean, were people saying that when he beat Plant? Were people saying that when he beat Billy Joe Saunders? Now he's not skilled, and now that everyone is just so far superior to him in the pound for pound, right? They're just so superior to him, and that we actually had known this the whole time, but you couldn't say it, right? It's like okay, what? It's funny to me that I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I knew it was going to happen. People were waiting for Canelo to lose, right? And then that's fine. He lost, and honestly, Bivol outskilled him in the fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't just size, but he outskilled him in the fight. But the things that we're trying to knock Canelo for, like the many pegs we're trying to knock him down, it's pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy. I even heard criticism of him of that, he's in a lot of close fights, right? Like he had a close fight with Lara and he had a close fight with Golovkin, the two of them, right? And the argument was that, like a lot of the other guys, they don't really have close fights. Like Inoue doesn't have close fights, I guess. Terrence Crawford doesn't have close fights, but my argument would be if you look at Terrence Crawford's resume, has he ever really faced anyone to skill wise, right, or ability wise at the level of Golovkin? I mean, I think I can make a pretty damn good argument that no, he hasn't. I mean, people are going to say Porter, but I don't really think Porter was ever at the skill level or had the one thing. Like Golovkin's power was elite. Porter's never had one thing that was elite in his bag of tricks. Like he never did. So yeah, with Terrence Crawford, the guys he's fighting, you're talking about Horn, or you're talking about Indongo or Postal. It's like those guys are not at that level. So yes, he's going to be superior to those guys. But are those guys any better than the run that Canelo had at 168? No, right? And Canelo ran through those guys. So see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, are you comparing it evenly? Now, Terrence Crawford's going to fight Earl Spence, right? And that's two high level fighters. How much you want to bet that's a close fight? Are we going to start knocking guys for close fights? Are you going to start knocking Sugar Ray Leonard for having a close fight, close win against Hagler? Now close fights don't count because you have a close fight. I don't. It's all how you choose to see the argument, right? But I see a lot of those kind of arguments being made. Like I said, he lost. He's going to have to take it. He's going to have to get knocked down a few pegs. And I knocked him down a few pegs the way I saw him, right? I did think that Canelo was going to be able to beat Pavol. I did. I thought that he was going to be able to outskill him. I thought that Pavol would be predictable with his offense and Canelo would be able to counterpunch him and Pavol would kind of run out of ideas. And every time he would come with the 1-2, he'd get countered to the body or, hook to the head. That wasn't the case. Canelo, to me, ran out of ideas in that fight. So I did have Canelo rated pretty high. I did knock him down a few picks, but I didn't knock him all the way down to where like we're gonna say he's not skilled anymore, or he's not even close to the top guys now. The pound for pound, that's not the case. I'm not gonna do that because he's very skilled. He's shown it. Sometimes you just go to a weight class, right? And you got it's the old expression. It's like a great little man could beat a good big man, but a great big man will always beat a great little man. He ran to a great big man. That's just the case where he just ran into a great big man, and it is what it is. He lost the fight. And sometimes, people saying, he did have a win at 175, right, against Kovalev, right? And yes, he was able to beat Kovalev. And that was the highest level he could get to at 175, right? That he could beat Kovalev. I think Bivol is levels above Kovalev, and I don't think he can ever get to that point. And sometimes, though, even though he's moving up and he went to 168 and he had a lot of success, sometimes it's just, like I said, it's like the last hay to break the camel's back. That weight class is just too much for him. With Bivol's size and his skill level, he's never going to reach that. He's never going to be able to get that. Bivol would be a tough fight for him if they were equal weight, right? If they were the same size, that'd be a tough fight for him. Now, Bivol with a size advantage in the fight, he has no chance. He's not going to ever win that fight. And it's just, I understand that he was just one weight before that and he had success that way, but it's the last hay to break the camel's back. That's all it was. It's just the size difference was just too much. And that's it. And I still think he's king at 168. I do want to see him fight Charlo. I do want to see him fight Benavidez. I'm not saying he shouldn't fight Benavidez. I want to see the fight happen. But I think if he goes and fights Charlo and Benavidez right now, honestly, I think the same, like Plant, people forget, but Plant was like, the first time the Plant fight fell apart, people were saying like Canelo's dodging Plant. They weren't. They were saying that. They were saying that he was in self-preservation mode. He didn't want to fight Plant style. And then he goes to smoke him, and it's like, who would Plant beat? Right now, it's like knocking Plant's resume and who was Plant, and he never really was that good. If he goes and beats Benavidez right now, it'll be the same thing. Like, that's why he's saying, like, hey, fight each other, right? Like Charlo and Benavidez fight each other, or Benavidez fight Plant. So that way, if someone gets to win, right, like one of them gets to win, then it's a worthy fight for him, right? And no one can say like, well, this guy never beat anyone, or this guy never proved he was anything at that weight class. That's the problem, right? That's the plan, because Smith never really beaten an elite guy at that weight class. Plant never beat an elite guy at that weight class. Billy Joe Saunders never really even fought anyone at that weight class. So he could keep running through these guys, but he'll never truly get the credit that he wants for beating those guys. So that's why he was going to 175, because if he beats a guy at 175 who's a champ at that point, it's like he'll get credit for that. On paper, that looks really good. That's all it is. It's like over time, the history books, you're going to look and be, oh yeah, look at it. He went to 175, went to 168, won titles, beat the top guys on that. No one's going to be like, oh, well, that guy was trash. Years from now, they're not going to do it like that. But right now, he's not getting any credit for these wins. Even if he goes to beat Charlo, they're going to say he was 160 guy that went to 168. Of course, he was going to win. Right? If he goes to beat Benavidez, they're going to say, who do you beat? So that's why he wants guys to fight each other. They're probably not going to fight each other. No one's going to fight each other. He's probably going to come back down next year, fight 168 for the PBC, and fight Charlo and Benavidez. And I think those are big fights. Those are fights I want to see, but I just don't. I wish that they would fight each other so it would create more hype and more buzz for it, and you wouldn't be unsure of like what this guy really is. You would know this is what this guy is. He's a high level fighter. But we're gonna see. I think Canelo's still king of 168. As far as like pound for pound, I don't know what's really changed from him losing to Bivol. I really don't. What's changed in Canelo's career from losing to Bivol? He's still king of 168. He was on top of the pound for pound rankings with being the king at 168. So okay, so he didn't get the job done at 175, but what's changed with everything below that? It's still the same. He's still in the same spot. That's why I don't know. These pound for pound rankings, I'm not a big fan of. The only one I buy is my own. That's the resume pound for pound ranking. Let's put this bad boy up right there. Now, Canelo's at number 2 here. This isn't my updated one. Canelo's at number 4 now. I dropped him. I couldn't. Okay, I had it. He lost the fight. The last 4 fights, the points on 168 weren't great. Like I said, they didn't ever beat anyone, so I can't say like, oh, these are great wins. The greatest wins. So I dropped. I put Inoue up. Now Inoue's going to fight Donaire. I need to see. To me, I need to see an impressive win from that fight to keep him there, right? Also, I'm kind of thinking about Inoue. He's right there at 115. 115 is the most stacked weight division in boxing. Stacked top 10, right? Like that their 110, their top 10 is stacked at 115. Inoue is not fought any of them. To me, that's a problem. Okay, so I'm keeping him. He's number 2 right now, but I'm gonna start looking at him a little different. I'm gonna start looking at him a little different if he doesn't blow through Donaire this time, and he doesn't fight these guys. So he got to move to 122, and then we can, then that would make a lot of sense. He goes 122 and starts winning top guys there like MJ, Fulton, Roman, even Aleem, right? Reese Aleem, Leo. I think Leo's moving up, but guys like that. Then okay, there's opponents there for Inoue. It's not like Inoue could just stuck at 118. Which I don't even think Casamaro's that impressive of a win if he fought Casamaro. We know Butler's not the, won the belt on a lot of circumstance. I don't think he's that great. So I don't think that would be like, oh, that's a good win for his pound for pound resume. Earl Spence moving up to number 3. He's obviously going to fight Crawford next. The winner of that will move into my number 1 spot. I think I'll even move him up, even if Usyk beats Joshua twice. I really would. I'm still moving them up to my number 1 spot. Estrada is supposed to fight Franco next. We'll see about that. The pay it's not great for that fight, and I think that he get paid a lot more just to fight Chocolatito again. I think that there's buzz for a Chocolatito Estrada fight. I still think that fight sells well. So let's see if Estrada fights Franco. If he's able to, really look very impressive and maybe even one-sided fight against Franco, that would to me make a claim to where he could stay where he's at. Like I said, Canelo beating Golovkin, I think that would be a notable win if it was at 160. 168, I'm going to say it's not a notable win. I keep going back and forth on that, but I think I'm going to settle on that's not a notable win for him. So Canelo beating Golovkin don't really do anything for him. I think if Estrada were to smoke Franco, I would probably put him above Canelo and drop Canelo down to number 5. Like I said, I already explained Crawford. Him and Spence probably decided who number 1 is. Taylor is interesting, right? Because there's a lot of rumors of him fighting Teofimo. Now, Teofimo has not proven anything at 140. Teofimo is also coming off a loss and a bad performance. I don't think that really does anything to me, honestly, unless he completely smokes Tail, though, to move him up the rankings. It wouldn't. So Taylor is just really dependent on what Fury does next, right? Whether he stays retired or not, which I don't believe he will. And I think that Fury might have an undisputed heavyweight title fight coming up soon. I think Fulton fighting Danny Roman, depending how he looks in that fight, that's an excellent fight, an excellent matchup. I think he's going to be moving up pretty soon if he wins that fight. And Jermell, if he wins and becomes undisputed, beats Castano, I would have to move him up. Taylor could be dropping to number 10 and possibly out, especially with Bam fighting soon. He's fighting Bam is fighting Sorong Vasai. He gets that win. I mean, he's right there. Let's see where Chocolatito goes. Like I said, if he fights Estrada. Who else is Devin Haney beats Kambosos. I wouldn't move him in my top 10. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Kambosos is a great win. I really don't. But if Kambosos beat Haney, right, and he would have a win over Teofimo, who had just beat Lomachenko, I think he might have a good claim to get into top 10. I think that might piss a lot of people off, but this is a resume pound for pound ranking, right? This isn't hypothetical matchups. This isn't just based on what I think your skill is or who you would beat if you fought each other. No, it's like what you actually did. That's what I'm actually gonna go off of. That's the only thing I can go off of. I don't like this make believe stuff. I don't even really like when we do like who would win a guy from like the 1950s to Floyd Mayweather. I kind of don't like those at all either because it's just talk. You know what I mean? They don't really settle anything because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in the ring. What else we talk? What else talk about? Let's get one more subject up on here. Trying to think what has been happening in the boxing world that we need to talk about. I mean, Canelo losing is huge, right? We got good fights. Oh, I guess okay. Yeah, here's what I want. Here's what I want. If we have a close fight, right, this weekend, and there's a chance we have a very close fight between Charlo and Castano. Let's put up the fight poster. I'm tired of this. If it's a close fight, and I'll do this on Twitter. I'll do it for us. I'm gonna mark out what rounds are swing rounds, right? Which rounds could go either way. Because I don't want to hear robbery at the end of the fight of a close fight. Okay, if it's a close fight, we can't yell robbery. Okay, we can't knock points against it. We want close fights. We should want close fights. We should want competitive fights. Why are we knocking close and competitive fights? I don't understand that at all. Why are we? Why is that the storyline we're coming out of here? If it's a close fight, then damn, it could go either way. That's what the first fight was. It was a draw. It could have went either way. I would have been okay with it. We have to be more okay with fights can go either way when they're close. So I'm going to call out what rounds could go either way. So that way we keep count of them. So if there's enough rounds that could go either way, that could make the scorecard go either way, we can't get mad at the results. We can't yell out robbery. We can't say the boxing's a fraud or fix or all these things to really hurt the sport and lose all the momentum of what we have as a great fight. So let's not do that. It'd be really funny if I had to get back on here Monday and I'm yelling robbery because it's such a bad decision, right? Like Canelo Bivol was a really bad decision. They went the right way, but it was a round away from being a really terrible, terrible decision. I think that I'm picking Charlo to win this fight in a boxing contest, right? I think he's gonna outbox Castano in this fight. But if it looks like the first one and it's a competitive fight and it's a good action fight, let's just be happy we got that. Instead of being pissed at the end of it that it's a robbery and they should have gave it to this guy. And it's like it's a close competitive fight. How about that? It's just say that he could have went either way. This guy should have took more chances then, because that's really what happens in the close fights, right? Like you got to take more chances. That's why the guys that are built for that, they always usually prevail in those type of fights. First fight was a draw. I'm completely okay with that. If this fight's close, I just want to see a close competitive fight. I'm not going to ruin it by yelling robbery and fix every time it happens, and that these guys paid the judges off. Because I'm not saying it doesn't happen in boxing, but it doesn't happen as often as you guys think it happens. Because you guys think it happens a hell of a lot. Anyone thinking people are fixing fights for Charlo too, it's not happening. I'm telling you right now, he doesn't generate that kind of money where you're going to fix fights for him. Okay, he's not that guy to where you fix fights for. Okay, it's a lot of years in prison you can do for fixing fights. You better make sure you're getting over 10, 20, 30 million dollars to do it, like a Canelo or Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao. Charlo's not the guy. You're not going to do years for fraud, illegal activity for Charlo payday. I'm sorry, you're just not going to do it. Okay, he doesn't have that kind of pull. He also lost a decision before to Harrison, a controversial one that he probably should have won. Right, he definitely should have won. He lost that decision, so he has proof of him getting screwed over. That's the thing. It's like people will adjust that. Like Manny Pacquiao lost Timothy Bradley by decision. You think they fixed it for Timothy Bradley to win? Timothy Bradley was fighting at like Ontario before he fought Manny Pacquiao. Okay, you think they fixed it for? Oh yeah, they wanted Timothy Bradley to get that dub. No, they did not do that. Okay, that was just bad judges that night, right? Those just judges that just weren't seeing what was happening. They're not fixing this for Charlo. I promise you. They're not fixing this fight for Charlo. They're not taking that chance, that risk. You don't. Well, I mean, people do, rob liquor stores for like $20, but not this level. Okay, these are high level promoters and managers. They're not fixing this for Charlo. I promise you. Let's just enjoy the fight. Let's not go screaming robbery every time there's a close fight. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Ezra.